Hi YouTubers, what we are going to do today is we are going to etch in the new Silhouette Curio 2 using the power tool from start to finish. We're going to etch these guys. These are clear acrylics. They have the paper on the back so the camera can focus on them. But we will set up our template, cut it, set this up in the software, etch it, and then talk about some of the pros and the cons between this tool and other tools, this Curio and the Curio 1, some design tips, things like that. So in other words, this will be a long video, pack a snack, and let's go etch. So this is the template I've made and been using to make my examples for y'all. Now, you need it for two reasons. One, it provides placement to get everything lined up for your blank, and two, it prevents your blank from moving. Now you're going to need tape to tape it down with as well. You're going to need lots of tape for all of this. Also, you can use it more than once. You can use it multiple times, as you can tell where I've taped it and untaped it. Now it is sitting in the debris tray from Silhouette. Silhouette is saying that it is required if you want to etch or engrave on this machine that you have to use this mat. There is nothing in the software preventing you from using that ES mat. I will caution that if you break the ES mat, it is currently $100 to replace plus shipping and is currently out of stock. So this debris tray currently was $30 plus $5 shipping, and the power engraver as well was another $30 plus $5 shipping. $5 shipping got it from Utah to me here in Georgia. So let's go set up and cut our template. Also, as of the making of the video, both this and the power engraver are additional purchases. They are not included in the box for the Curio. So they are additional to the $429 that the machine is priced on. Alright, so this is what a naked debris tray looks like. You've got a couple sets of marks. You have this one, which is where your grid lines up. You have them all over. And then you've got these outer marks, which are where your mat lines up. But I would not use this without taping it in some way first. So what I've been doing is, first up, I put some double sticky tape in the center. This step, honestly, may be overkill, but my concern is that with just taping the outside down, that this is going to shift in here and move, and if it does, your blank in your project is done. You're not going to be able to fix it. So that is why I do that first, and then come in here and line up my square, my grid with the indicators here. So that way it prevents the mat from squinching in the middle. That, I would say, is a optional step, but it's just good insurance because acrylic blanks aren't the cheapest. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the outside of my mat down to the tray. I have been using Silhouette's Chipboard for like ever. It's basically glorified cardboard. So if you have like boxes of any kind, you can use that as well too. Boxes, cereal boxes, not corrugated cardboard with the multiple sides, but just anything kind of thick paper-ish. Now, this is a sort of sticky mat. It's lost most of its sticky. If you put this on a brand new sticky mat, this is never coming off. So use it on a sort of sticky, but not entirely sticky kind of mat. And I'm going to put this on the mat, and then I'm going to tape this down as well. So make sure you got lots of tape as well. Alright, so we are all taped down. You're going to make sure this is all the way in and flat. Sometimes it wants to ride up a little bit. And then you've got these little guys on either side that's going to lock this tray in. You definitely need that. I'm going to put my auto blade in carriage 1 over here. Make sure it is in. And then I'm just reusing the piece of chipboard I did before. I just moved it, and the hole I was using up here is now down here. And then the circle that I cut out, I just taped it back in place. So we will cut a new one in the software. All right, so we're in Silhouette Studio. And this is just the Cameo mat. I'm going to show you how to go get the Curio mat set up. You will need to have upgraded to 4.5.735 in order for your software to even know that a Curio to exist. You can go to Help and About, and that will tell you the version of Silhouette Studio that you are currently running. You'll have to go download the newest version, but it has to be this or higher for your machine, your software to even know a Curio exists. So we're gonna go over here to Page Setup and come down here to Curio 2. And it gets you the whole big machine. And then mine already has the debris tray put in here. So here it says tray, or you can do the ES mat, which is just gonna be no tray. And we're gonna go to debris tray. And then you can do no mat, or you can do the 12x12 Cameo mat. Do understand, because there's no grid and you're kind of lining it up off of marks here, there's probably going to be a slight discrepancy between this mat and the mat that's in your machine. So also, this is the transparency. A lot of people ask me about that one. So if you want to see the grid, if you don't, there you go. So we're going to come over here and draw out a circle. You can hold the shift key, and that's what makes it like a perfect circle. The acrylic blanks that I have are 3 inches. So we're going to come over here to the transform panel and over to the scale tool and just type in 3. And this is going to make it 3 inches all the way around. Now what I'm going to tell you to do is to put your circle and line it up with a number. It's probably not going to be perfect, but the reason why is so you have a little circle in your acrylic, you can line it up with that to make sure your acrylic is lined up. Because if not, you're just kind of having to wing it and hope. So we're going to do that. We're going to come over here to send. I have carriage 2 selected right now because I've been etching, and that is why mine is default blue. So we're going to come over here to no power engraver. Close that one. Come up to carriage 1, where we're going to say chipboard, and it knows that my auto blade is in here, and we're going to hit cut. I've just been using the default settings here with 2 passes, speed of 1. When I hit send, the second carriage will come down, auto detect our thickness, and then it will cut for us. It sounds quite musical when it does it too. See, it's quite musical. I don't know why that struck me as so funny, but it takes it a minute and you can pop it right out. See, it only takes me a while because y'all are watching. If I was just here by myself. There we go. Also, this is my Sawgrass sublimation printer back here. The blue light and all of this, it has nothing to do with this machine. It's just I don't have that much room, and so I didn't want anybody to get confused about why you didn't have a blue light on your machine. It's because it has nothing to do with your Curio. I'm impressed. It did pretty good getting our line down the middle of our circle here with our grid. I would recommend keeping your circle. You can use it to help prevent your mat from collecting debris and getting unsticky. Also, I don't know if I said this before, we have a lot of tape on this plastic debris tray. I wouldn't recommend it staying on here for weeks or months on end. Tape has a way of like adhering itself to things if they're left on for a long time. So I wouldn't recommend leaving it on for a really long time. So I did want to make sure I got that in there. So these are just a 3-inch blank acrylic that I have gotten. I think these are from Craft Chameleon. They have new ownership now, and I don't know them, so I don't know if they have these or not anymore. Amazon has acrylics as well. These are just 3-inch clear acrylics. Now you're gonna want to keep the paper backing on it. The machine, if it's see-through, has a hard time auto-detecting the height. So make sure you leave the paper on it, or you can also etch on solid color acrylics as well. This has a plastic coating on it, so you're going to want to make sure you remove that. So that's what we're going to put in the machine. All right, so here's something you need to be aware of when you're etching. This is a round tip, a fat round tip. That means it's going to struggle with details. So for example, on Mackenzie here, see it just overfilled and filled in the entire A. There's an I over here, and it filled this in. This little design in the middle has been bubbled out. There's supposed to be a hole here, and it's been filled in because it just isn't very good at details. I've done 4 of the bulldog, and in my first one, you see where my G is completely kind of filled in, and the teeth I'm still struggling with. Hopefully you can see the teeth still are kind of not as pronounced as I would like them to be. The nose was something else I had to shrink, and we had to deal with little spikes on the collar. So be aware of that when you pick out your design. I knew this from testing, and I did this to myself anyway. It would have been much easier if I had just done like a Christmas tree, which we'll talk about, and we'll talk about these guys, my testers, afterwards. But it would have been much easier if I'd done a big bubbly single Christmas tree. That would have been a much easier demonstration, but I don't want to waste materials with stuff I'm not going to use. So everybody I know is getting a bulldog ornament for Christmas now, and this will be another ornament. These look really pretty on the tree when the light shines through them, but we are going to go into the software and tweak this design and do another run and see if that doesn't give us a better look. So when you're buying your materials, you're going to want to make sure you have extra of these. It's a good tool. You're likely to get a pretty result, where on the Curio 1, it would bind up sometimes and be a pain. This will get you a good result, but some of the details are going to get washed out in the process. So I would recommend you at least having multiple blanks so that you can do this a couple times until you get a result that you like. All right, so we're back in our software here. This circle never gets to move now. It always has to stay there. Remember, you can press Control and Z at the same time, and it will undo your last action. So if you somehow accidentally move this, don't panic, undo. But it has to stay because this is where our template's at. This is the bulldog I was showing you, and I want you to take note of how much room is around the spikes here, how much room is around the G, and the teeth, which still aren't really sticking out, in the eyes. So I want you to have an idea of how much room is required to be around something in order for the details to kind of stand out. Because see, even as much room as around the teeth, they're still kind of blended in on my etching. Now this is our little stitch here, and we're going to go move him into be in front of our circle here. Actually, before we do that, because I don't want to move my circle, I need to edit some. In our first test of this, like the eye didn't stitch, you couldn't see it at all. This little piece of chest hair in the middle, you couldn't see. The inside of our A, you couldn't see as well. So what I'm going to do is zoom in, and then you can double click, and it brings up all of the little editing points here. And so here inside this one, I'm hitting delete on my keyboard, and we're just going to get rid of that altogether. We're going to zoom in some more here. I'm going to click Shift on my keyboard and select that node and that node, and I'm going to hit the down arrow. So that way it gives us a little bit more room between the dot of our eye here and the top of our eye. All right, so I fixed and fiddled some more. I didn't know how much I wanted to sit here and watch me move nodes individually. So I moved all of this up and I gave Stitch bigger eyes here. So we will see how this goes. It may work, it may not. We may get to do this again. So we're now going to take Stitch, and he's all grouped together here, and we're going to put him on our circle. Now I'm going to click my circle. I'm going to click Stitch and my circle, and I'm going to go over here to the transform panel, and I'm going to click center. Now you don't want to live too dangerously close to the edge here, so we're going to scooch him up a little bit. And if I'm honest, this is a little closer than I really want, but we're going to let it fly here. So now what you do is you come down here to the second one. It's the specialty tools, and it's the fourth one over. And it says Power Engraver. The the heat pen looks a lot like it, so it's kind of hard. But Power Engraver here. And then so you need to make sure he's selected. And then you can fill in your grid here. Now you have different pattern choices to choose from. Straight lines. This is concentric circles, so it goes from inside each little bit here, and then it makes circles. We did this one in my etching video, metal etching video on the arch. It's giving me a lot of empty places I don't like here. And then this is a spiral circle where it picks somewhere and just spirals out from it. Most of the time I go with this hatch fill. It goes up vertically and then across horizontally. It gives you the most full, complete fill here. And then you can do 0.5, I think is as low as it goes. I think I did 0.10 just to make it a little bit quicker of an etch. I didn't really notice much difference in them. The bulldogs were taking roughly about 30 minutes to etch. Stitch, it said was going to take 9, but it was still going after the counter had already stopped. The time this takes depends on the pattern that you select, how big of an etch you're going to do, and how tightly it is together. Obviously, if you pick the hatch pattern as close as it can go, and you have something on a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of acrylic to etch, you and the machine are going to be here for quite a while. This guy's smaller, so he's not going to be as bad. I've also gone with 0.10 here instead of 0.005 to make it a little bit quicker as well. So our acrylic here, and this is what I meant. We have a hole at the top. We're going to place it and line it up with our grid here so that we know everything's vertical. Now you're going to take tape and we're going to tape it down. The tape is just regular masking tape for this. The tape is going to be extra insurance to keep it from sliding. Now, you want to make sure you're really close to the edge so that you're not interfering with the tool here. Also, when you're picking out your design, make sure you allow for this. I'll show you some examples on the Curio one where I didn't. Now this is a power tool, and it's cool because it's got the little power thingies in the back here. So it's going to go into carriage 2 up here. Now you do have to make sure that it slides all the way down. Sometimes it doesn't. And when you do, make sure it clicks into place. So that way it's actually in there. All right, so with our design all done, we're going to go over to our sun panel here. Now you got a couple things going on here. The red is for carriage 1. Okay, I zoomed in. The red is for carriage 1 and the blue is for carriage 2. The blue may not automatically populate for you. I've been etching, so it does for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our circle. We're going to hit no cut over here and to turn that off. Close carriage 1. We're going to open carriage 2, and if yours isn't already lit up blue, you're going to select what you want to etch and hit Power Engraver Action. This I just have metal etching sheets in here by default. There's no acrylic setting of any kind. Power engraver detected, and our action here. I have been doing a force of 10 and a speed of 2 for my engravings. I've done as much as a force of like 12 maybe, and it doesn't seem to really make a difference. The caution with using a lot of force is you're not guaranteed to have a better result, and you could potentially damage the blank or bog up the machine. You could in the Curio 1. I haven't had it happen to me yet in the Curio 2. So more force isn't necessarily better. And the speed, you might be able to bump it up 1 or 2 more. It makes me nervous to do that. So, and we're gonna hit send, and it's gonna do the same thing it's always done. I still have auto material thickness detection enabled, so the machine will do its little dance again. All right, so what will happen is when we hit send, the machine's gonna move and detect thickness like it normally does. Then the power engraver tool is gonna turn on. It sounds a bit like a dentist drill, and then it will etch for us. All right, a couple more things. This is our paintbrush. You can use it to brush away the dust as it's working, because sometimes you want to see and be nosy. To me, I don't know if it really matters if you have to brush the dust away or not, but it's fun to kind of brush away your design. If it is etching something and you don't like it, I would wait and let it etch and finish your design, and then make all of the changes at once rather than letting it etch, making changes and etching some more. So I also have the ladybug vacuum cleaner. You can use it because it does make a lot of a fine kind of dust. It's not the best to inhale it. Don't sit over here and huff. So do make sure you do clean up your dust afterwards. So I've wiped some of the dust away as it's etched. Wipe all your little dust away. And see your finished result. And if you want to, you can take your little vacuum and vacuum up any dust. And then you're going to just peel off your tape. And you can put your circle right back there to help protect your mat. After it's out, I like to, this is 409 on a paper towel. I like to just wipe it off to make sure we get any dust out. And it kind of helps to reveal the design a little bit better. Make sure we have any dust out of any areas. Now it's going to disappear completely, but once it dries, it'll come back. Also, the UV resin that's so popular, I've never done it, but I've been told by people I trust, if you UV resin over the acrylic or over the etching, it will all disappear. So don't do that. All right, so this was the first one we did, and this is the second one. You can see after I made the changes, this one is a better result. I moved his face, I separated a bit more, and then we moved the eye up and made the A a little bit bigger. And it's a better, I got rid of his little chest hair here, and it's a better result. So, and they do look better once the paper has been taken off, but the camera cannot see them. Okay, so this is my little tester on clear acrylic, and this is some gray acrylic, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. This is the power tool that we've been using, and what makes it quicker, and I think more foolproof, is the fact that instead of doing traditional etching where it just makes the straight lines, so this is the stippling tool, which is the tool that we use in the Curio 1, and see how it just makes it straight lines and see how the pattern's all straight. This is an aftermarket tool, the Chromos Precision tool, and see it's straight lines here. The power tool makes these curves. So instead of doing the straight lines like we're used to traditionally seeing, it makes these little squiggly patterns. And this is all the same fill pattern with different tools. And you can see how this one is squiggly. or compared to the traditional straight lines here. And this is why, because of squiggles instead of makes of straight lines. Now, the plus side of this is, to me, it's faster, and I feel like it's more foolproof. This kind of sometimes would get bad results or just kind of be weird. This isn't going to happen with this tool. But the downside is that, see where you have all these crisp lines? This is not going to be able to do that. And the reason why is because it makes it in those little squiggles. I don't want to say something's right or wrong. I just want you to be aware of this, because it caught me a bit off guard, because I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do lines and everything on the Curio 1, designs with lines, how to make them quicker and faster and all those things. So I was caught off guard a little bit by the problems with the details and the squiggly appearance of the fill. Now this is the concentric circles, which seems to accentuate the fill more, and it's not as defined of an edge. And that's another reason I did the hatch example on our examples we did today. It seems to minimize the wiggliness, and it gives us a much crisper edge, like you can see on our stitch today. It's a fairly clean line, and the wiggliness has been minimized. That's why I chose the hatch fill. And this was done on the Curio 1, and you can see all the fine lines here. The power tool can't do this. So it can't do this, and it's also not going to be able to do the designs like this, where the fine little details and the lettering. It's not going to be able to do that. But if you want to etch on a 12x12 acrylic that's going to take forever, the power tool is probably going to be the better option than this, which would take, than the traditional stippling tool, which would take a long time. So I don't want to say one tool is better than the other. It depends on what you want to do. But I don't want you to be caught off guard by the wiggle when I wasn't prepared for not being straight lines like I had been used to doing on the Curio 1. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that before you spent the $60 plus shipping for the debris tray and the power engraving tool. If this is what you want, by all means buy it. If this is not what you want, then maybe this isn't the tool for you. I'm thinking we might do the stippling tool or this third-party tool. This is the Chomos Precision Tip. It is very pokey. Both of them I think will do good jobs. Alright, so I did want to show you some other examples. We've been doing the clear acrylic because I think it looks really good for Christmas ornaments. It looks really pretty on the tree. Christmas is coming, so I'm trying to look for ornaments I can pawn off on people. This is some of the other things you can do with it. You can etch on the colors, so that's black, and then this is blue, like glitter, the glitter in it. It's white on the back. And that's another glitter one. I like this one for pendants. That's why it's got the hook on it, like really long, like 36-inch pendant, like a statement kind of pendant. You can also rhinestone them, because I apparently must rhinestone all of the things. So you can rhinestone them. You can also put HTV on them. So that's just HTV on another glitter ornament. Of course, I have etched, rhinestoned, and put HTV on this one. This is glitter. This is holographic HTV. You can also color them. This, I think, is just a standard Sharpie. You can also use alcohol inks and rub and buff and all sorts of stuff, but you can color them if you would like to as well. And then you can also, we can make templates. If you would like to, we can do that in another video. So this is like a flower. This is Georgia, state of Georgia outline, where you can make a template and then etch on that as well. That's all entirely possible. We could also do videos on using the traditional stippling tool or the aftermarket Chomos tool. They both work about the same way when I was doing my little testers here. So that's the traditional stippling tool, and then that's the Chomos one. So let me know what you want to see in the comments in the future. We can also etch on metal as well. So if you made it to the end, I so appreciate you. This was a long video, I'm aware, but I wanted to make sure you had a good idea of what it took from start to finish to etch on this, and then some of the good and bad of it. So if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be back with another video soon. Please like, subscribe, and follow, and thank you so much for watching.